The forest floor is a riot of sound and smell. The sharp scent of pine, the damp musk of decaying leaves, the coppery tang of fear, and then the scream. It is not human. It is the rage of a great boar, a shaggy, muscle-bound beast of the deep woods, its tusks yellow daggers of ivory. Kale, the clan's strongest hunter, lies tangled in the roots of an ancient oak, his flint-tipped spear snapped, its moose-terrier point lost in the undergrowth. He had been too confident, a step too slow. The boar, winded and furious, had turned, a force of pure instinct. It caught him once, a swift, brutal upward thrust into his thigh, before crashing away into the forest, leaving a trail of blood and broken ferns. The other hunters rushed to his side, their faces masks of shock. The wound is a deep, ragged canyon in his leg, packed with dirt and pine needles, welling with a terrifying amount of dark blood. They carry him back to the shelter, a grim procession that moves with the leaden weight of failure. This is not simply the potential death of a man. It is a tear in the fabric of their entire society, a grim accounting in the ledger of prehistoric life. Kale is their provider. His strength and foresight are what stand between the small clan of 23 ancient humans and the gnawing hunger of the coming winter. A weak Kale is a weak clan. A dead Kale is a death sentence. In the flickering light of the fire, the shaman is summoned. He is an old man, his eyes clouded with visions, his authority absolute. He represents the clan's accumulated wisdom on matters of the spirit, a tradition of shamanism stretching back through their hominid history. He begins the ritual. He burns sacred herbs, their smoke-thickened clawing, meant to drive out the malevolent spirit that has entered the wound. He chants, his voice a low, hypnotic drone, rattling a necklace of wolf teeth. He smears a paste of charcoal and animal fat around the gash, a spiritual barrier against further harm. The clan watches, their faces illuminated by the flames, their belief a palpable force in the cramped rock shelter. But Ilara, a young woman who watches everything, does not look at the shaman. She looks at the wound. She sees the swelling that the shaman's sacred paste does not halt. Over the next 2 days, she sees the skin around the gash turn an angry, violent red, streaked with dark lines that creep upward toward Kale's groin. A foul, sweet smell begins to rise from the torn flesh, a smell of decay, of life gone wrong. Then the fever comes. Kale's body, once a source of strength, is now a furnace. He shivers uncontrollably, his teeth chattering, his eyes wide with a delirium that sees phantoms in the shadows. The shaman's chanting grows louder, more desperate. He blames a rival clan's curse, a transgression against the forest spirits. But his words are hollow. The fever does not listen. The wound putrefaction, the primal fear of a slow, inevitable death, an enemy you cannot fight with a spear, settles over the clan. The shaman's medicine, their only medicine, is failing. The spirit. It seems, odd if the shaman has declared the battle lost. Kale's spirit, he proclaims, is already walking the ghost road. The rituals now are for the living, to protect them from the contagion of a bad death. He prepares a final wash of sacred water, a rite of separation. But Ilara's mind is not on the ghost road. It is in the forest. She is a collector of things. Her senses are tuned to the small and the overlooked, while others see a wall of green. She sees a lexicon of textures, smells, and uses. This nascent science, this proto-ethnobating, is her private language. She has watched badgers dig for certain roots after a fight, seen birds avoid specific berries even in lean times. She collects not just food, but patterns, information, and the pattern that now consumes her is the one of rot. She leaves the oppressive heat and the drone of the shaman's dirge and walks into the cool, damp hollow where the ancient birches fall. Kale's wound is a form of rot, a living decay that smells sickly sweet. Here, in the hollow, is a different kind of decay, the slow, clean return of wood to earth. But on one particular log, something is different. A patch of soft, greenish-blue fuzz thrives on the damp bark. She has seen it before, but today, she looks closer. Around the perimeter of the mold, the wood seems strangely preserved. A cluster of overripe berries has fallen from a nearby bush. Those lying a foot away are a soupy, insect-ridden mess. Those lying right beside the mold are shriveled, but whole, intact. The insects have not touched them, I thought. As radical as the first spark of fire ignites in her mind. This substance fights decay. It is a leap of logic that requires a new way of seeing the world. A form of cognitive fluidity that separates cause from spiritual intent. The rot in the wood is not an evil spirit to be banished by smoke. It is a process. And here, in this mold, is another process that seems to push back. The choice she faces is terrifying. The shaman's authority comes from the spirits. To defy him is to defy the very structure of their world. To meddle with a dying man is to risk being branded a witch, a bringer of bad luck. To be cast out. Ostracism is a death sentence as certain as any fever. Her fear is a cold knot in her stomach. She looks at her hands, then back towards the shelter, where the man who has fed her and protected her is being sung into his grave. Altruism wages war with self-preservation. She makes her choice. Working quickly, her movements furtive, she scrapes the soft mold into a stone bowl. She adds a pinch of sacred red ochre, and nods the traditions she is about to break, and chews a piece of willow bark. Her own secret remedy for aches, spitting the wet pulp into the mix. She adds a splash of clean water, grinding it all into a thick, greenish-brown poultice. It smells of damp earth and life. Back in the shelter, she waits. The moon climbs, and the fire burns down to embers. The shaman, exhausted, finally sleeps. The clan is a collection of fitful, shadowy heaps. Alara moves like a ghost. She kneels beside Kale. The heat from his body is staggering. The stench from the wound makes her gag. With a piece of soft moss, she gently, carefully, cleans the weeping gash, then applies her strange, heretical medicine. Packing it deep into the torn flesh, Kale does not stir. She has no idea if she has helped him or simply introduced a new poison. She has stepped off the path of faith and onto a new, terrifyingly lonely one. She sits back on her heels in the darkness and waits for the dawn. The vigil is a silent one, held in the space between breaths. Alara sits by the dying fire, a lone figure carved from shadow and stubbornness. The clan sleeps a troubled sleep, their dreams haunted by the boar's tusks and the shaman's grim prophecies. They are caught between two unthinkable futures, one where their best hunter dies, and another where a young woman has defied the spirits and invited their wrath. The shaman himself sits apart, his back a rigid wall of disapproval, his silence a condemnation more potent than any chant. He is waiting for the dawn to reveal the consequences of Alara's heresy, for Kale's final, rattling breath to prove the old ways right. He is waiting for the failure that will restore order. But the failure does not come. As the first hint of grey light touches the mouth of the rock shelter, Kale stirs. It is not the violent thrashing of delirium. It is a slow, purposeful movement. He groans, a sound of profound pain. But it is a sound rooted in the world of the living, not the spirit world. His mate, who has kept her own vigil a few feet away, crawls to his side. She places a hand on his forehead. Her eyes go wide. She looks at Alara, then back at her hand, then touches his skin again, as if she cannot believe her own senses. The fire is gone. His skin is still hot. But it is the heat of a banked hearth, not a raging furnace. The fever is biting. A murmur ripples through the waking cloud. They creep closer. Their faces a mixture of awe and disbelief. The shaman rises, his face a thundercloud of confusion. He pushes through and glares at the poultice. It is nothing but filth, a profane mockery of his sacred rituals. And yet, the evidence is undeniable, a truth told by the body itself. The angry red swelling in Kale's leg has lessened. The foul smell of decay is still there, but it is weaker, overlaid now by the clean, earthy scent of the mold. The dark lines of poison are no longer creeping up his thigh. They seem fainter, in retreat. This moment will never be found by archaeology. The evidence of the cure, the soft poultice, will decay and vanish. Future studies in paleopathology might one day find the marks of a severe, killed infection on K-less bones and wonder at the incredible resilience of these early humans. They will never know that the resilience was not just in the bone, but in a mind that dared to see the world differently. As the sun rises, Kale opens his eyes. They are clear. He looks at his mate, then at the faces staring down at him. He whispers one word, water. It is a revolution in a single syllable. The clan's collective gaze shifts. It moves from the shaman, the vessel of their ancient faith, to Alara, the agent of this new, inexplicable magic. It is the birth of a new kind of power, one that does not come from spirits or chance, but from observation, from courage, from a handful of dirt and mold. The shaman did not lose his power that day, but it was forever changed. It was forced to make room for a new kind of knowledge, one that was tested not by faith, but by results. This was more than the saving of a single life. It was a fundamental turning point in the epic of human evolution, a quiet shift in the very software of the human mind. The moment Alara chose to trust a pattern she observed over a belief, she was taught is the moment the first scientist was born. Every laboratory, every hospital, every life-saving drug that defines our modern world is a direct descendant of that poultice, a testament to the power of a single, heretical idea. It is the story of how our ancestors began the slow, arduous process of mastering their own biology, of fighting the invisible enemies within. Their entire history of survival skills was predicated on outthinking predators and finding food. Now, for the first time, they had a weapon against the decay that haunted them from the inside. To understand this is to grasp the very root of hope. That is the chronicle we are charged to keep. If you feel the weight of that first, terrifying experiment, then join us. Place your hand beside hers and leave your own mark on the story. Her discovery was not an end, but a beginning, the opening of a door that, once unlocked, could never be closed again. The older stories are not about how we conquered the world, but how we learned to mend it. But what new burdens come with the power to cheat death?